Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we might have got a little bit lost in the sauce because we're attempting to do the ultimate Junding of a Llurgoyf theme deck here, really. Because there are some pretty good Llurgoyfs available now. Not just the good old classic Tarmogoyf, but we also have Nethergoyf, which is a Tarmogoyf only measured in graveyard, but costs half as much. So this can come out early and start doing some real work. We've got Barrowgoyf, which is a Death Touch lifelink Tarmogoyf that mills yourself when you deal combat damage to a player, and then you get one of the cards you mill back if it's a creature. Pyrogoyf, this is like Flametongue Carvu plus. So this comes into play, it's a Tarmogoyf, and you dome either them or one of their creatures based on the power of your Tarmogoyf or Llurgoyf of any description, and you get that for every single Llurgoyf you play. And we have a Tarmogoyf Nest where we get to power out some more Llurgoyfs if we need them. Stick this on a basic land and we're having a great time. We've got some Ignoble Hierarchs to try and power some of these things out. We've got a selection of removal, mostly leaning in towards killing Psychic Frog, so Fatal Push, Molten Collapse, Abrupt Decay. We have the Witherbloom Command, which can kill some smaller things, whilst also giving us access to additional Wastelands, because we can rebuy them, and it mills us, which helps our main game plan. We've got Cling to Dust, a little bit of main deck graveyard hate. There's also, a pretty reasonable card to play anyway. Some Thoughtseizes to soften the hands of opponents, and some Vexing Bauble to shut down some of the unfair things. We've got a couple of lands like Boseiju and Nurturing Peatland, alongside the Wastelands that can put themselves in the graveyard, as well as the Wooded Foothills, so we should always be getting some food for our growing boys. Sideboard-wise, I wanted to do Steely Resolve, because against control matchups, we want to protect our creatures a little bit, so just having one of these is something we can board in, and if we have it and we name Llurgoyf, which is a great thing that I would love to be able to do, we can force our opponent to answer the Steely Resolve before they can start attacking our creatures, and our creatures are going to hit hard. We've also got an Abrupt Decay, Pernicious Deed, for a little bit of extra removal of different types. We've got some Blood Moons to hate on all these Cloud Post or Drowsy decks. More Vexing Baubles for unfair matchups. A little bit more hand disruption to soften up some opponents. Pyroblast kills Psychic Frog, kills Merkside Regent, kills Tamiyo. These are all things I need to be doing. Collector Ouphe is going to be alongside the Vexing Baubles a lot of the time, which may sound weird, but the matchups where we want Vexing Bauble, we don't want to be sacrificing them anyway, and we can just hate on a lot of the sort of artifacty combo-y style decks that way. And we've got some graveyard hate in Leyline of the Void. Alright, that's the list. Is this going to be optimal? No. But it is a starting point to see how all these cards feel. I haven't got to play with Pyrogoyf yet, so I'm curious to see how it's going to work, especially alongside all of its Llurgoyf friends. So this is more of an exploration to see how powerful these things are, and then we can adjust numbers afterwards. But I'm pretty confident, because, these cards are still pretty good. And you always have to believe in the awesome might of the Llurgoyf. Alright, please remember to like and subscribe before we get started. It does help me out and doesn't cost you anything. And let's give someone some ultimate Jund experience. We're into round 1. I would quite like some more mana. We're on the draw. I think we can probably get a little bit more of a stable hand going here. Alright, I can live with this one. I think it's probably the... Is it the Cling to Dust that goes, or the Pyrogoyf? I guess it's the Pyrogoyf, because this is like the higher mana value thing, so we might not get to that point, especially if we're Wastelanding. Although the Barrowgoyf kind of suggests that we don't want to be Wastelanding that much. We want to be actually getting some value out of it. I left a card on top. What do I think our opponent is on? We could just play the Wasteland game here. I'm down for that. I wonder if our opponent is some sort of Dreadnought deck. I think it's the most fun thing you can do with a Meticulous Archive deck, is jam some big old Dreadnoughts. They shuffle their library. Alright, we're going to fire off another one of these. Let's see if we just put our opponent in the dirt. Because I did shuffle that Ponder. Alright. Tarmogoyf Nest, you say. Let's take a look at what our opponent's doing. We could see a Brainstorm to protect. Alright, so we're on an Ocelot Pride style deck here. Guide of Souls is kind of the thing that matters here. I think we're just going to have to work through these plows. So the Ocelot Prides on their own aren't very good. They need something to make them work. Alright, they drew a Ponder for turn, which is a pretty good one, and might be able to find them the land they require. They found a Wasteland. Alright, we're just doing this whole song and dance, are we? Ignoble Hierarch, alright. I could just make a large creature, but I don't think that's actually that helpful. Now I have to worry about getting Wastelanded myself. How the worm has turned. We could just get a Swamp and play the Nethergoyf. Or we could get an Ignoble Hierarch and play... Sorry, get a Forest and play the Ignoble Hierarch. Or we could get a Bayou and throw a Caution to the Wind. Because wherever we play, there's definitely a possibility that our opponent will plow it. So it's kind of a tough decision what we actually get here. Like, Goyf is only 2-3 right now. Right, they can't Wasteland us and kill our Hierarch in the same turn. And this gives us the option of potentially deploying the Barrowgoyf next turn, which will crunch through a whole bunch of things. No land from our opponent. Thoughtseize. Alright, let's Thoughtseize our opponent and deploy the Nethergoyf. A Daze. Do I want this Daze to happen? Not particularly. If our opponent gets white mana, their hand does become unlocked in quite a big fashion. But we can bash for 3 with this Nethergoyf. If we find a land, we get to Barrowgoyf. Found a land. If our opponent somehow has a counter spell, we want to play this pre-combat because it'll make our Nethergoyf larger. I would like a basic land here. This is probably the swamp. Find the Daze? Or is this going to be a brainstorm looking for an answer or something? They did find a Daze. So this pumps our Nethergoyf. So we now get to swing for 4. Next time we can Tarmogoyf Nest. Live the dream. Certainly a dream, isn't it? So we want to put on this land because we want to fetch a basic... I guess we can't fetch the green land with that anyway. But we want to put on land that doesn't tap for green. Right, they didn't counterspell that. So our Tarmogoyf didn't grow. Or our Nethergoyf, sorry. But we can go and get a Cling to Dust going in a sec as well. And just start deploying the Tarmogoyfs. Alright, Tarmogoyf Nest. First sighting, first win. Love it. Now, that game was brought to you mainly by your friend and mine. So I think the Bloodmoons are probably going to be pretty good here. The Pernicious Deed is going to be excellent. More removal is probably good. Our opponent's going to have like it's called Psychic Frog. I don't think the Vexing Bauble is actually where I want to be here. I'd rather just have some like decent removal going on. We don't need the Graveyard Hates here. So what does that actually give us? So I think the Bloodmoons and the Pernicious Deed are the best things we bring in. And then we have to consider the other bits and pieces. So a Thoughtseize is okay, but I think a Pyroblast just after the fact might be better a lot of the time. Like, it is nice to have a look at our opponent's hand. How much am I into these Witherbloom Commands? Pretty into them, because they do kill all their little guys. I think I would like Decay and a couple of Pyroblasts here. And whether or not I take this one of Thoughtseize into another Pyroblast is a little bit of a tricky one. It's nice to have the one Thoughtseize in your deck as a thing that can happen, but I think we just get the Pyroblast and we're just going to play around the board rather than the space in the hands. I don't think we need the Steely Resolve. Maybe we would have the Steely Resolve instead of this, actually. Let's go wild. Alright, let's try that. So our opponent's got Plows. They're probably going to have Prismatic Endings. This hand will not lose to a bunch of creatures very easily, so I'll keep this. Since our opponent's deck is all about playing a bunch of little guys that then snowball. An Ocelot's Pride, sure. I'll crack this now because we're getting a swamp. Let's push this in the upkeep. Plays around Force of Negation. That means that they have to Force of Will. Okay. A Ponder from our opponent. We have their next threat covered. We can just Wasteland Nethergoyf, and that's a pretty fine turn for us. Because we get to play around Daze as well. And when they answer our Nethergoyf at some point, then we're going to be in need of additional Llurgoyfs. I did have a build of this deck that had Caverns in. But it didn't seem like a great idea. Alright, that little guy. I think I do want to Wasteland here and just play the Nethergoyf. Get ourselves a big enough body to stop our opponent from attacking. If they play an Ocelot now, that's obviously annoying. But we can kill it next turn. They will just get a little bit of stuff out of it. Okay, just depending. No additional land from our opponents. Let's go and fetch our basic forest now. So I want to play this Ignoble Hierarch. It didn't have anything last turn, so I think I'm okay playing the Hierarch and just developing our mana out a little bit. We're not in a rush to kill this Guide of Souls. It's only a problem when they actually play an Ocelot, which is the weakness of this deck for sure. Alright, so they have an Ocelot. So we'll get to make another guy here. If we'd have kept up the Abrupt Decay, we could have stopped this. It is unfortunate. A Tarmogoyf. I do like a Tarmogoyf. Not quite doing what we need it to right now. So we can Abrupt Decay the Guide of Souls, I think, here. Then we can try and roadblock them with a Tarmogoyf. Let's give him a good old Junding. We could see like a plow on our guy here, though. They can't attack, they can't make more cats. Witherbloom Command. I do like the Witherbloom Command here. I would like to kill their guy, and I would like a... Yeah, we'll mill ourselves and we'll kill this. Get this Wasteland back. Wasteland our opponent. Attack with a big old Tarmogoyf. We didn't actually grow it in that instance, did we? We're holding off a Pyroblast, so we can answer... Like, they're a long way off Psychic Frog with his Plains. I did not find the mana base of this Esper deck to be great when I played it. A Pyrogoyf. Mind if I do. And we can hold up the Pyroblast if our opponent does have a force here. Alright, we got the match. Pyrogoyf too strong. Now, Wastelands were a big part of how this game worked, but we knew they would be good against our opponent's deck because we've played our opponent's deck before. Alright, we're 1-0, let's go to round 2. Alright, our hand doesn't really go anywhere. But we've got a lot of stuff we can draw in our deck. I think I will keep this. We have some key interaction for the format right now. And we get to lead off on the front foot with this Thoughtseize. Let's drop the Bayou. Let's have a little peek at what's going on over there in our opponent's hand. Nethergoyf, Murderous Cart, Brainstorm, Daze, Mishra's Bauble. Not enamoured by a bunch of these things. I think we take the Brainstorm though. That's the objectively most powerful card there. We can answer the Goyf when we want to. It will be a 2-3, but that's not really the be-all and end-all, is it? So we're probably looking at, like, Hierarch Cling to Dust this turn. Yeah, so when they crack the fetch, it will be a 3-4. This is fine for 1 mana, but we have an answer to it in our hand. And at least we know what our opponent's doing here. On the Bayou. So we could deploy the Hierarch and Wasteland them. I'll give them an option to Murderous Cut, but shrink their Tarmogoyf or their Nethergoyf down to size. Right, I'm going to go for this Wasteland. We can afford to take 3 or 4 from this guy for 1 turn. I guess they Wasteland and Murderous Cut us, that's very bad. Because then we are a couple of turns away from being able to cast this Decay. Bloodstained Mire that we knew was coming. Is this just going to be a... Like, I don't think they're going for the cut here. Another Goyf. Another Goyf of our very own. What a world. I think we just play out a Bayou here. So we want to fire the Cling to Dust off first because the Abrupt Decay isn't counterable. Alternatively, we play our Nethergoyf. It's a 2-3. They attack. We make it a 3-4 and then shrink their Nethergoyf. But then they just Murderous Cut it. I'll take out their Bauble. That's the easiest way to shrink these guys. It's going to be hard for them to replace the Bauble in their graveyard. Another Hierarch. We could deploy our Nethergoyf here. And another Hierarch. Or we could just Abrupt Decay one of these. We know they have a Murderous Cut. But they can't do it pre-combat. Right, let's play the Nethergoyf. Mine is bigger than yours. I don't care if they daze this. In fact, they're more than welcome to daze this. It sets them further back from deploying anything else. Yeah, I didn't think they would. I certainly wouldn't daze that in their spot, so. We also haven't shown them red mana yet. So they might not realise that these Hierarchs can actually change things when we start Pyrogoyfing. Right, so they're going for the Murderous Cut straight up. So now they just have some 1-2s. Right, they've got a Wasteland, so they get to make them 2-3s. Oakley dokley. How many cards is it to exile? So any number of other cards in your graveyard with 4 or more card types among them. That's a lot. I don't think I've ever escaped one of these. A Nurturing Peatland. We don't want that one just yet. Deploy this, and we will Abrupt Decay one of these. I guess I'll get in for 2 points of damage on them here. I'm not blocking with both of them, that's for sure. So may as well get that damage in. Ponder, it's pretty good. It's the 3rd type. The Goyfs continue to grey. Did not shuffle with that Ponder. Let's Decay one of these. Am I taking 4 here? I think so. Pyrogoyf would be nice to find, wouldn't it? We can pay around the days as well. It's not really the one I wanted. Alright, I'm going to draw a card of this one. We've got plenty of removal. Witherbloom Command. I guess we're looking at milling ourselves and getting some life. Just a little bit of extra cushion to rest on. I think I want the Wasteland back here. Tap for 2. We can take another hit. The Wasteland means if we find an answer, we can stop them redeploying the Nethergoyf. Just going to take 4 here. They haven't seen any red cards yet. Not that we're running very many of them. Psychic Frog. Alright, so now there is 2 problems in play. Now we can chump block the Nethergoyf. So the main problem is now the Psychic Frog. That doesn't really help with what we're trying to accomplish here. I was hoping we could take our opponent off of Psychic Frog mana before they deployed one. I think this ship has sailed. We can attack with a 3-4. They can discard their entire hand into the frog. It's not really worth it for me, is it? Up goes the frog. It does shrink their Nethergoyf, but they can grow at instant speed by discarding cards. Just like this. If they discard the rest of their hand, they do win the game. You're going all in? Or are you just going to take the free value? Alright. So you're saying there's a chance still. Another Nethergoyf. Sure. Plenty of scary permanents facing us down. This does not help. I will not insult my opponent's intelligence. Actually, I will not insult intelligence, but I'm going to have a look at their hand and see if we can get any more information. In case there's anything spicy over there. Sure. Alright. This is a matchup where I would like some Pyroblasts. I would like some Pernicious Deed. I like the Decays here. I'm not big into the Baubles in this matchup. Like, they're not pitching anything apart from counter magic. And I think we just sort of barrel right through that instead of having this clunky artifacts in play. Like, these cards are just better. Like, the Pyroblast, we can use it to defend to force a spell through, or we can use it to blow up one of their scary creatures. That seems like a good use of how useful is the Witherbloom Command against our opponent's deck? It's not great, is it? They don't have many things where I'm reliably killing with it. And Cling to Dust isn't that essential here either. So this looks fine. I don't think we want the Blood Moons. Our opponent has only shown us 2 colours. These decks are usually pretty stable with their mana. Alright. Sure. We can take their best card. We can answer their first creature. This will turn us off of Revolt, but I don't think we're going to need Revolt in this matchup to kill their threats. Let's Thoughtseize. I imagine Tarmogoyf Nest is going to be difficult for our opponent to beat, weirdly. What do we got here? Fatal Push, Fatal Push, Fatal Push, Murderous Cut, Brainstorm, Barrowgoyf. Well, well, well. I think it's the Brainstorm that goes here. The Tarmogoyf Nest will devour all of their removal. And we have a Fatal Push. We can hopefully push at the Barrowgoyf at some point. Oh, they find a 1-drop as well, did they? Or is this just going to be a Surveil land? No, they found a Ponder. Yikes. Pretty good. They did not shuffle. Okay. We do have an Underground Mortuary, so I will be deploying this Bloodstained Mire. There is an argument to not do that, so that we can have a Fatal Push with a Revolt on the following turn. Alright, I guess we found what we're Fatal Pushing. 5 cards in our opponent's hand. We know 4 of them. So we can play around in days here. Let's get our Mortuary. Thoughtseize. I'll put that on top, I think. I'd like to take their only threat and just give us a lot more breathing room to leverage our Tarmogoyf Nest in following turns. So we take the Barrowgoyf here. Next turn we can play a Tarmogoyf Nest, which I think is going to be better than the Barrowgoyf because our opponent's hand is pretty stacked with removal. And this can just eventually outpace it. If we draw another land, then maybe play the Barrowgoyf first. But again, all our opponent's going to do is just tap stuff at end turn. Nethergoyf. We could play both of these. Or we could put this on the swamp here. And now we can deploy this. It will die. But we need to work through our opponent's removal at some point. Anyway, we don't have Brainstorms to put these cards back and turn into better things. Petty Theft on the Nest. That's. But if we find a land, we can play and activate it in the same turn. I believe we're going to see a Surveil land here rather than the Fatal Push. Nope, they're going for the Fatal Push. Interesting. This means they're doing this so that they have the Brazen Borrow as a thing they can at least cast by doing it that way. Okay, they've drawn the best card in their deck. Awkward for us. Okay, we've drawn a pretty useful card ourselves, though. Let's see if our opponent wants to pitch any cards. I don't think they will. Get out of here, Frog. So they still have the Brazen Borrower. They can end step on our turn. We want to get another green source here. A Stifle. Okay, so that's no Borrower. So the Tarmogoyf Nest is prepared to overload our opponent. A Ponder. We don't want to see another Psychic Frog. Tarmogoyf's going to be pretty large at this point, I would imagine. Cameo is pretty tasty. Would I like to Wasteland right now? It means it takes a lot of our opponent's mana to clues. Like it's going to take 100% of their mana to crack. And then we can just make guys in their turn. Where are the flying Tarmogoyfs? That's what I'm going to know. Let's create a Tarmogoyf token. Very fetching. There's a piece of removal. Opponent's got a removal spell over there, so I'm okay to take this. A Murderous Cut and a Stifle. interesting as to which of these I take. Murderous Cut will remove stuff from their graveyard, which will weaken some of their own plays. So I think we'll probably take the Stifle here. They're going to keep a clue in these clues, but if they want to keep our board down, they don't have a chance to crack them. Let's make a second Tarmogoyf token this game. So we'll get cut. We'll continue to make Tarmogoyfs. We will play this out. We will pass. We do not have another Surveil land, so there's no point cracking this Catacombs. We might want to keep it up so we have a fatal push for something like a Barrowgoyf if our opponent has one of those come up. Go Gadget Tarmogoyf. They got one card in hand and one card that they can play in exile with the Borrower. And go attacks. Bash away. Play a 4-5. We'll have another 4-5. Just playing a bunch of big men. Yep, they've got the Borrower here. So they might be trying to wait for the mana so they can flip the Tamiyo in one turn. As well, if they get a land here, they've got to draw for turn, they can just crack 2 clues and then flip Tamiyo and get back removal whilst minusing for the first time. There's Wasteland. Can't Wasteland my swamp. Wastelanding the Underground Mortuary. Interesting to hit R. Guess we're going to attacks here. How would you like to take lots of damage? Oh, Bowmasters. Sure. Some chump blockings over there. I think the Barrowgoyf is just, strictly speaking, better than a Tarmogoyf here. Many Goyfs. So they can crack a clue and still have access to like a Murderous Cut they draw or a fatal push. But they have to remove one of these creatures. They have to remove 2 of these creatures because the Borrower can't block. Right, no, they can block. They can kill 1, block 1, take 8. They've got themselves an Engineered Explosives. Not bad. But they're going to have to blow up all their clues if they want to kill our Tarmogoyfs, which is something. And our Barrowgoyf gets to connect here, which is a pretty big game. Because that's just a big swing of life. And this will be an artifact in the graveyard as well. Fatal Push. So blow this up. This goes to 5. We have instant in the graveyard already. We do have land. So killing the Tamiyo doesn't actually achieve anything here. Tarmogoyfs are 2 power guys, I guess. Huh. I thought this was going to kill the Tarmogoyfs. That doesn't make sense. These are just tokens. But I guess Tarmogoyf is a 2-mana guy. I don't know. I'm going to have a look at that. Okay, yeah. So they are... Because it's a token of a card, it has the mana value. It's a bit like where Spawn Rise, if anyone remembers that card, used to make tokens of itself. It's the same sort of deal as that. So that wasn't a bug. That was how it works. I didn't think that was going to work. I didn't think our creatures were going to survive, but they did. What do we have here? We got lots of creatures. We have a removal spell. We don't really have great mana. I think I want something a bit more interactive. I'm not loving this one. I do like the Tarmogoyf Nest a lot, though. Alright. Polluted Delta. So we can just go and get a Bayou and play a Hierarch. We're getting Stifled. Feels like we're getting Stifled. This is a pretty big Stifle, if I'm honest. They got a basic, and they Stifled us. Yikes. Alright, we'll do the thing we can do. I don't really want to just play a Badlands out, hold up a Pyroblast. That doesn't feel like a great use of my time. Yeah, I thought that we might be getting Bowmastered. At least it's not a very potent threat against us. It's just a Grizzly Bear. But it's over 2 bodies, so if we get even a 1-2, we can block it. But I don't want to just hang out our Badlands and get Wastelanded. It's interesting they chose the Bowmasters over playing anything else. That suggests to me they don't have a Psychic Frog in hand, or they have some permission they wanted to use. Okay. So now we have a choice. Are we allowing this Psychic Frog to hit us once so that we can play around days to make sure it goes? Or I think we just Pyroblast it now, and then if that doesn't work, then we Abrupt Decay it next turn. But if this gets dazed, that's obviously a pain. Yeah, like we're behind here because of that Stifle our opponent got. It's all kind of snowballing from there. But we have the Abrupt Decay. We've at least traded 1 for 1 with that Pyroblast, so it's not like it didn't do anything. Our opponent does get to draw some additional cards here. Alright, worst case scenario has happened. Understood. That's pretty devastating. Let's try and play a Hierarch. So we at least have something for next turn. Underground Sea, that's not a Wasteland, so there's a chance that we get to cast this Decay, but that chance is slipping away. We can deploy a Tarmogoyf, and we just have to hope that our opponent's millions of cards they're drawing are bad. It's not a great plan to win a game with. But we could draw a black source now and get rid of the frog. Okay, or a green source. Let's see if they pump anything into the frog before we kill it. Because they can't interfere with the Abrupt Decay. They're not running any like Mizium skin type stuff. I think the damage is already done from this frog though. It's drawn them like 2 or 3 cards now. Just an Ancestral Recall that also lightning bolted us. Nethergoyf. And it's smaller than Tarmogoyf. Speaking of. Let's play Tarmogoyf. Wait, is this not... I thought this was going to be... Oh no, most of the stuff's in their graveyard actually. It's going to be the same size. Let's take out their removal colour. Another Stifle. Sure. So we can bounce off of the Nethergoyf and they can deal us 2, or we can hoover up one of their guys and take 4. Or they can just fatal push this or whatever. Our opponent's draw's been pretty good. Okay, so now they're actually having to cantrip for things. It wasn't the case before, but now they actually have to go looking for something instead of just having it, which is nice for us. Gives us a little bit of breathing room. They didn't shuffle though. Lose our Bayou. Okay, they got fatal push as well. So we block this, we take 5. Next turn we try and block this and this with the second time if we draw the land. If we don't, then we have to block this and we take damage for a few turns. Alright, we take damage for a few turns, we're dead to any removal. Blue cards are good. Just need an additional type in our graveyard. Nethergoyf, short. So 1 mana, 4/5. Nope, we got nothing. Yeah, a bit unfortunate. I think we did a very good job in the second game to win that one, but our opponent's hand here is going to beat most stuff, I would imagine. We were pretty under the gun, and the Stifle was a bit damaging to us too. Just, yeah. The Blueback Shell in Legacy is the strongest it's ever been, and there's no shame in losing to that, especially when we're playing a bit of a sort of meme deck, I would say. Alright, let's go to round 3. How do I feel about this one? Got a lot of 1/2s in our hand. I like the Vexing Bauble though. Don't have any interaction outside the Vexing Bauble, so we're going to be very cold to a creature early doors. If we don't draw a land, I think we just have to mulligan this one. It's too many Barrowgoyfs. This is a better hand, but it is still a 1-lander. I think we probably get rid of Tarmogoyf Nest, because that is actually the highest resource investment card in our hand. And I don't have a basic land right now anyway. We can't guarantee on getting one. So we'll chuck out the Nest. We just look like an innocent Cradle control deck. And then bam, we start Goyfing people. Alright, we've got a Mana Dork in play. This means we can't get Wastelanded and lose our creature. Unless our opponent's running Gut Shot or something. Flow Strand, alright. Wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Prismatic Ending or a Plough here, but they might just be going for a Ponder. No, okay, white mana in the pool, it's depending. I'd love to draw lands here. So I can deploy my 0/1. Let's play Hierarch here. I'm okay playing this into the potential days. Right, no days. We've got an 0/1. We did it. Right, opponent's cracking a fetch. Underground Sea. Oh look, Psychic Frog. Fun times. I think we probably have to play the Goyf here to play around days. We attack with a 1/2. That doesn't feel like a great use of our time. And they can massively impact the power of our Goyfs by just removing all these cards from their graveyard. Awkward. We need some stuff in our own graveyard. We're going to have 3 0/1s in play in a sec. They could attack. We can't block here because we'll lose whatever blocks. Unless we don't care about the Nethergoyf being blocked. Okay, I'll take that actually. That pumps our Tarmogoyf. So now we've got something in the bin, so our opponent can't make our Tarmogoyf have 0 power at least. Probably didn't just fly over. Alright, let's swing in with a 4 power guy. That's probably not going to be 4 power when all is said and done. Get ploughed? Sure. I'd rather that get ploughed than our Barrowgoyf. Okay. So we have our own deal damage, draw a card spell. If we find a land, we can start Pyrogoyfing. Alright. Nope, just 3 white removal spells. Awkward. I'm not blocking here. It's now slipping away. Okay. Plough land out. Pyrogoyf. We get to dome something for 4. It's probably going to be a Tamiyo. And then we get to poke for 1. Now they can have a brainstorm here if they just have it all. They did not have it all. That's good news. Alright, let's get some 1 damage in. Unfortunately, our large Pyrogoyf can't even beat this Psychic Frog in combat anyway. But, okay, they removed some cards. Shrunk our Pyrogoyf. Drawing an extra card. There are more plows in our future. Blue, blue. This isn't Murktide unless I discard another card or tap another land. Right. This is going to be a Murktide. There it is. It's a 6/6. And we are now down to a 1/2. So not quite how we drew it up. Let's draw a card. We need some help. That doesn't feel like a lot of help, does it? We can go and get our Surveil land here. But we are not doing well. Psychic Frog, pretty good against Tarmogoyf, as it turns out. Psychic Frog, pretty good against everything ever, basically. Which is awkward for us. We do have some nice answers for it, though. But we also have to answer a Murktide Regent now. And they are flipping their Tamiyo. They also have the combo of removing cards from their graveyard on the Psychic Frog, which then grows the Murktide Regent. So just kind of one problem cascading into another. Where is this damage going then? On the Hierarch. Not a surprise. Just that guy. Okay, I'll take just a casual 6. Well, they got one card in hand, so they go attack with both and we couldn't do anything about it. Right, Surveil land. Buy me something good. Show me the good stuff. This is growing our Pyrogoyf. We don't have another one of those lands, so that's not very helpful. We want to play our stuff out still. We attack here. We've got Artifact, Land, Creature. So this is a 3/4. And they discard a card. This becomes a 3/4, so you just block and bounce. Alright, we just slowly die to... Actually, no, this is a 2/3, isn't it? Sorry, a 2/4, because our opponent's Tamiyo trigger. Alright. We're going back a Brainstorm. Why not? Let's grow the Murktide a little bit. Because they cast this Brainstorm and we draw another Pyrogoyf. There'll be 2 Pyrogoyf triggers, so we can take out the Murktide, dealing 8 damage. Unless our opponent wants to do the frog stuff, but they might miss that because they missed it last turn when they had the option of attacking with a frog and just raffing our board if we blocked. We could have just sailed through this guy as well. Unless the one card that was left in their hand was absolutely bananas. Alright, they're making their Murktide into a 2-turn clock. Okay. Psychic Frog is going to the sky. It's growing their Murktide Regent. So this is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 if they pitch the cards in their hand. So we're not dead. But I don't really feel alive. Well, that card doesn't do anything, so we're going to go to the sideboard. Here is a 3-colour deck. I will be boarding in Blood Moons. I will also be boarding in these Pyroblasts and this Abrupt Decay. Do I want the Pernicious Deed? It can blow up a lot of our print stuff. I don't think I do. Take out these Vexing Baubles. Not really doing it for me today. I don't really want the Cling to Dust in this matchup. It's not where it's for. He's just trying to find 4 cards. Are we just going to be cutting the Thoughtseize like we've been doing before and just play to the board? I think I quite like just playing to the board like this. Because the power of Psychic Frog means you have to prioritize answers to Psychic Frog over things that will answer Psychic Frog if it's in their hand at the right time, sort of thing. It just becomes really awkward. Witherbloom Command is good for recurring Wastelands against our opponent's 3-colour clunky mana base. Okay, I'll keep this. Bayou, Nethergoyf, turn 2 Wasteland. I don't really want to play out the Badlands because I want to hold the red source so it can't be Wastelanded, so that we have access to Pyroblast to kill the frog. So it's basically just all about frog legacy. Right, let's play just a boring little 0/1 guy. They won't be able to kill it on turn 1, but they can kill it on turn 2 with Bowmasters, which is why I want to have the Wasteland available to go. So I have a Stifle available. I'm happy to play this and get an additional point of power on our Nethergoyf attacking. Alright, a Brainstorm. Feel the power of my almighty 2/3. Next time we can play a Barrowgoyf potentially, but I'd rather try and play around a Daze if possible. A Tundra. A Ponder. Let's attack with our 2-power guy. Little by little. They shuffled off that Ponder, so we're going to hit him with another Wasteland. Give him a good Junding. We have Pyroblast around a Daze as well that we can fire off because of our Hierarch. If our opponent at some point doesn't have access to an island, then we can try and deploy this Barrowgoyf. But I will play it around a Daze for as much as I can. A Nethergoyf. So we could try and just deploy the Barrowgoyf. I don't think that's a great idea though. I think I would rather deploy another Nethergoyf. See if our opponent wants to do anything about this. Because if this goes to the bin, it pumps our existing Nethergoyf. Not looking forward to an engineering explosives. That would be annoying for us. If they play it this turn, then we can Molten Collapse it at least. A Brainstorm. Is this the Brainstorm that I'm Pyroblasting? It feels like our opponent doesn't have anything going on here. Let's say no to Brainstorm. This will also grow our Goyfs. We're getting a force out of this. It shows you the sort of high stakes situation our opponent is in. Force pitching a Murktide. Alrighty. Clearly it was the right target to point our Pyroblast at if our opponent's willing to force over a Brainstorm. So worst case scenario is they get some lands in hand, they shuffle this Flooded Strand, they get to kill one of our guys, they untap, kill another guy, play a frog, we lose. If we don't find... Well, we have an answer to the frog. But alright, so they got basics, we're getting our Nethergoyf ploughed here. I have to imagine it's a Nethergoyf. Alright, it's not ploughed, it's ending. That's worse for us, because that doesn't go to our exile. Well, we don't gain the life off of it. And... Ooh... What do I want to do with this? Do some milling and get back a land. Seems fine. And this seems fine. This might grow our Tarmogoyf, or Nethergoyf even. I want to Force of Will that. This is going to put a sorcery in our graveyard anyway, so it will allow us to bash for 4. Aggressive Force of Will in there. Leyline revealed, off it goes. So I got one card in hand. What is that one card going to be that is worthwhile here? Terminus? That's pretty annoying. Have Terminus on top, but I don't think our opponent's deck has Terminus. I've got land. You can cast a spell with it. You can cast a creature, I don't mind that. I suppose our opponent might be running something like a Supreme Verdict. It's not entirely out of the realms of possibility. I'm not feeling a Supreme Verdict now. Alright, so we have an answer for this. We get to continue beating with our Nethergoyf. This gets us our Surveil land that we will do on our turn so that we get more chances at growing our Nethergoyf for an additional point of damage. Goodbye Psychic Frog. Let's crack this, see if we can grow our Barrowgoyf. Not Barrowgoyf, Nethergoyf. Well, it will grow our Barrowgoyf, potentially. The land, we don't really want that stack, just going to the graveyard. We missed on that one. We've got a 2-turn clock and our opponent's hellbent. An almighty hit for 4. And we have another threat we can follow up with next turn, if our opponent does find an answer. Alright, we got a game. So we're just going to do the same thing again, I think. Let's hope our Steely Resolve give us the resolve we need to dodge all their removal spells. It doesn't help that much versus Prismatic Ending. It kind of blanks the first Prismatic Ending, which is still not nothing, right? Well, there's lots of cool spells here, but there is a component missing, so we're going to send this back and look for some lands. I would like a black source. Most of our mana is black though. Alright, I'm going to keep this one and get rid of the big 4 mana spell that we're not going to be casting. Polluted Delta. Are we going to see a Ponder here? Or a Tamiyo? It's a Ponder. I think that's better for us than Tamiyo, because Tamiyo could flip quite early doors and force us to Abrupt Decay, whereas this way, if they want to cast a Tamiyo on turn 2, it means they're not casting a Psychic Frog, so it's not so bad. Right, let's see if I can resolve and keep my Ignoble Hierarch around. Step 1, it's in play. Where is our Tarmogoyf mana dork? That's what I want to know. Our white mana, so this means we're not seeing a frog this turn. Going to plow our guy. You're going to ending it, sure. And a Ponder. Okay. So we get to play a small Tarmogoyf. There's a spell that we might cast at some point, but we'll see when we get there. Tarmogoyf. You got days? No. They probably have more removal though. Would love a black mana source. That'd really tie everything together for me. You Barrowgoyf. So red source, we don't have any castable spells, which isn't ideal. Cycling a Lorien revealed. That's Supreme Verdict mana. A Tamiyo, okay. If we find a land, we can try and Pyrogoyf that. A plow, okay. An uncastable spell. Alright. We've got the only 3 lands in our deck that don't make black mana. That is awkward. Now the Tamiyo advantage is going to be something they're going to have time to leverage now. Psychic Frog, sure. If we find a black source, we probably have to kill the frog. But it's alright, we didn't find a black source, so we don't have to worry about that anyway. We can just sit here and lose to not being able to cast our spells. It is unfortunate that the land we drew is the one that doesn't actually cast our spells. Out of all the lands in our deck. I guess we have Wastelands that obviously wouldn't have helped, but I count those more as spells in our deck than lands. Alright. They can transform the Tamiyo if they want to, which then makes us wonder what we're supposed to be killing, the Tamiyo or the frog. Mystic Sanctuary, are they going to get back the source to Plowshares? Yep, and they can draw it and then plow our Ignoble Hierarch and keep us off black mana. Yep, there's a clue. Flip the Tamiyo, plus the Tamiyo, plow the creature, take us off of black mana, and not taking us off black mana. That's certainly a choice. And Witherbloom Command. We could Witherbloom in an attempt to find a land. I think that is probably what we're doing. Non-creature, non-land permanent. And we'll target the Tamiyo. They have the force. Oakley dokely. We do have some removal in our hand. Like, if we can drop the Pyrogoyf and a Nethergoyf, we can finish off a Tamiyo relatively quick time. We've also got the Decay, which can kill either of their permanents if we have the mana for it. I think I've played a numbers game and lost here. There goes the frog. They're getting back a ponder. They shove their library off the ponder. And they're passing a turn to us. We have 7 cards in hand. That's quite a lot of cards, isn't it? Let's crack this and get our swamp. Right, we're in. Barrowgoyf. Tamiyo is less of a threat at the moment because it's not going towards an ultimate. We'll let our opponent move some cards from their graveyard and stuff, maybe. Like, on the one hand, that shrinks our Goyf. But on the other hand, right, they're ploughing our friend. Sure. That was a plough we knew about earlier they could have used on our Hierarch. In comes a frog. Declare no blocks. I will destroy this frog. We can try and play a Pyrogoyf into the... What is this? Is this just Lorien revealed? Okay, they need to go to the actual main phase to do that, though. Oh, it's just a Triumph of St. Catherine. Right, how much of a problem is Triumph of St. Catherine? Is certainly a question. I think step 1 here is cast Pyrogoyf and see if it resolves. We kind of need it to resolve. Opponent also has 5 minutes left on the clock. I think they're going to win in that time, though. Hydroblast. Let's play a Nethergoyf. And a Daze. It's not a surprise they had it all because they just got to hit us for free with a Psychic Frog. It's really annoying that a 2-mana card like that can basically just end the game in a couple of attack steps because the resources you get that you can leverage in Legacy is just so strong. So Pyrogoyf does an interesting thing with Barrowgoyf, right? Yeah, so the creature deals the damage, so it'll be Death Touch damage. Right, put the Lorien Revealed on top. Alright, we're going to take 5, put us down to like 17? Yeah, I can do maths. I would like a Barrowgoyf, please. I'd also like a Tarmogoyf. Alright, we can kind of just swing lifelink damage back and forth. But we need to pressure this Tamiyo now, so we are not blocking this Triumph. 6 mana. Wrath of the Skies. For some reason doesn't kill Planeswalkers. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Yep, that's pretty good. So we need to find a Pyrogoyf is what you're saying. Pyrogoyf still plays here. Nurturing Peatland. Let's draw a card. Probably green mana is what we have the most abundance of. A Molten Collapse. What am I more worried about? They're both problems. We have Pyroblast in our deck though, so it's probably just destroying this guy. Buying ourselves a little bit more time. Because our opponent might clock out here. We've got just over 3 minutes left on their clock. I don't really want to play the game that way, but sometimes you don't have the most amount of choice. And it was shuffled right back to the very top, was it? Okay, cool. Sometimes things just don't go your way in Magic the Gathering. You know, we're obviously setting ourselves at a disadvantage by not playing a blue-black deck in Legacy right now. But we're putting up a good enough fight, I'd say. So they're using the Tamiyo to... They could have plussed the Tamiyo so they could ultimate next turn if they wanted. But they decided they just wanted to get more immediate value out of it. Okay, so let's work out how to cast this Nethergoyf. Okay, so any number of cards with 4 or more card types among them. So we have a lot of creatures, so I'll get rid of one of the creatures. We have 2 sorceries, we can get rid of sorcery. We have 2 lands, we can get rid of a land. We have only 1 instant, so we have to take the instant here. So our opponent's turn, what are we seeing here? It's just like a Murktide. Alright, we did board in a bunch of Pyroblasts. I think we need all of these things right now. There's our second black source, but we don't have any black cards. Just preserving our life total. Grinding our opponent out time-wise, I guess. Looking for Pyroblast. Witherbloom Command. It's not nothing. So we will... 8 and 8 is 16, that's still too much. Do we just mill here? What does that actually do for us? Like, it's fine. It gets us another redraw, I suppose. And then we'll destroy the Tamiyo. Okay, I'll take this Nurturing Peatland, I think. We'll play the Peatland. I'd like to draw a card with it. An Abrupt Decay. Not the one, as it turns out. We need to find the Pyroblast. If we have a Psychic Frog here, we lose. 8, 9, 10, 11. Wrath of the Skies. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, so we lose this one. As long as our opponent is clever enough to put one energy in, which I think they will. Yeah, that was pretty miserable. We drew the only coloured land that doesn't tap for black mana in that deck when we needed them. If we could have deployed our hand out, then we might have been alright. But we just let our opponent have too much time to set up. And, you know, the blue-black shell is the best thing in Legacy by a massive mile. We just saw that Psychic Frog can easily run away with the game. If it just hits you once or twice, it kind of feels like that's lights out. Alright, on to round 4. Let's see if we can play against something that's not blue-black. This hand does not play Magic the Gathering, so we're going to send it back. It is a one-lander, but it is a solid Junding, though. We got the turn 1 Thoughtseize or Bauble into turn 2 Tarmogoyf. A Lotus Petal. Another Lotus Petal. Are we going to get it turn 2? Who's to say? Black mana. Cabal Ritual. Doomsday. Necro Dominance. I haven't seen one of these for a while. So we have to let our opponent go through it because it does have a fail rate. I thought this deck had just fallen off completely because it wasn't very good, but it's going to beat us this turn, that's for sure. They've drawn 19 cards. They're exiling some Spirit Guides. So what they do here is they exile some Spirit Guides, they put it through a Manamorphose, and then the Manamorphose gets them blue mana, so they cast Born Upon a Wind, which lets them cast everything with Flash this turn, so then they can play out all the rest of the mana, like the Lotus Petals and Chromoxes or whatever. And then eventually they will kill us with a Storm Spell of some description. They also have Valakut Awakening to just redraw their whole hand. Yep, there's a Born Upon a Wind. All these cards going to their exile zone as well. Because of Necro Dominance's text. Yep, so the Chromox comes out now. They keep doing their thing. If they go to Thoughtseize us, I will concede. Just seeing if there's any new tech in their list. Because obviously the deck fell off completely. So I'm curious if there's any new tech that they're playing. Alright, they're just Tendrilsing us straight up. Alright. I would like my Collector Ouphe. I would like my Vexing Baubles. I would like my Abrupt Decay because it blows up that thing. I'd like some hand disruption. What do we not require? The Molten Collapse is not necessary. The Witherbloom Command is unlikely to be necessary at all. We're not about Tarmogoyf Nest here. We could take some Pyroblasts and hit Born Upon a Wind, but they usually have a bunch of Pact of Negation, so that's not really a great strategy. Okay, I think this is about as fine as it's getting. Probably get rid of the Pyrogoyf. So we don't need to cling to dust here, do we? Don't want a Pernicious Deed. I think that's too slow for this. Like, we can just cast Pyrogoyf as a 4-mana blow, like deal them damage spell to finish off the game, or put them in a position where they can't draw enough cards. We could play Blood Moons. Do you want to put Blood Moons over the Pyrogoyfs? They've got... actually, yeah, go on then. Let's play some Blood Moons over the Pyrogoyf. Because if we have Vexing Bauble and Blood Moon, the chances are they won't be able to generate black mana. Or, you know, any mana that they really need. I do still have Spirit Guides. This hand will not do anything. This hand will potentially win the game on turn 1 with our Vexing Bauble. I guess we get rid of Fatal Push. Probably should have boarded those out as well, actually. I don't know what the sideboard plans of these decks looks like, though. Let's get the Vexing Bauble in. They can't Force of Vigor this. They can't play through it with any fast mana. They can just go like Swamp, Dark Ritual, Necro Dominance, and then the Spirit Guides aren't spells, they're just an ability. They're going to clean up. That was nice for us. Let's Thoughtseize our opponent. What do you got? Necro Dominance. Well, you can't win without the Necro Dominance, so let's say no to that one. Like this, let's go and get the Badlands. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be Badlands, was it? It was supposed to be the Taiga. That's my bad. Wrong one there. So you want to be able to cast the Hierarch. Oh, we found the Taiga anyway. There it is. Pass. Now the problem here is on the draw, our opponent can just turn 1 us a decent portion of the time. If Pyrogoyf, don't our opponent for a bit. Tap for 1. So we're already reducing the amount of cards they can draw if they do somehow find a way to put a Necro Dominance into play. So I went for taking 1 extra damage rather than getting the Surveil land this turn. That was the options. I think that's fine. Okay. Is there anything we can do on the draw? No. There is not. Leyline of the Void doesn't interact with our opponent's deck. Okay, let's try this. Well, we have a Vexing Bauble, so if we get to have a turn 1, then our hand is good. But we don't know if that's going to happen. And we at least have 2 pieces of interaction. We don't have a threat yet, but we'll find one. Problem is they do get to play out all their fast mana straight away. Oh, they kept 7 cards. We're dead. We're totally dead here. Pretty bold playing this into a format of blue-black though. They only played one of their things out, which means that I think I'm supposed to Inquisition rather than Baubling here. A Veil of Summer. Okay. Well, we blew up their Bauble, like their Petal, I suppose. And they didn't go off last turn, so they probably can't go off this turn either. Because they got the same amount of mana they had last time. No, they're getting to go off here. So far, nothing they've done is anything we could have interacted with by playing the Bauble. Yep, she kind of just has to sit here and let our opponent do their thing now. They should just be able to win the game with what they have in hand. We played a Bauble. I don't think it makes a difference there. Maybe it does. But they can mana Morphos into black mana and just cast the Dark Rituals, and that's enough. And they can still cast their 0-drops into the Vexing Bauble for Storm. They just don't get them to resolve. A mana Morphos. Presumably getting black-blue, and then they cast a Dark Ritual off with the black. And then just blue-blue. So I'm just going to play a bunch of 0s here. Oh, maybe we are alright if we play the Bauble then. Hard to say. Kind of Cabal Ritual. Oh, so they did have a Dark Ritual, yeah. So it wouldn't have made any difference here. They would have still had enough mana to probably do everything they need to do. So they could have Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, and have enough mana to do it all. So it didn't really matter. Hopefully they have to go through some hoops to get this one. Instead of it just being right there in their hand with the tendrils, they might have to like draw a new grip with a Valakut Awakening. But when this deck first came out, there was like a big buzz about it. And then people played it for a couple of weeks and then realised it was bad. And it was especially bad into like all the blue-black stuff. So it doesn't crop up very often. But because it's a rare deck, it means it can randomly catch people off guard like it's done here. Alright. We lost to the turn 1 combo deck with our deck that doesn't interact on turn 0. Not a surprise. Alright. We are sadly 1-3. Let's go to the final round and see if we can put 2-3 on the board. Alright, into the final round. The curse of the Taiga has struck again. So let's mulligan this one. Okay, this is okay. I think we're probably... If we draw any lands, a Tarmogoyf Nest does stuff. I think we're probably supposed to... Alright, I'll keep the Tarmogoyf Nest. Which means if we don't draw our black land and just draw like the Taiga again, we at least have plays we can make. Arab Mesa over there from our opponent. So we might not be on a blue-black deck, which would be exciting. Here is the Ignoble Hierarch. We're seeing an Arab Mesa being cracked. Please don't flower my creature. It's a Brainstorm. I'd very much like to have this Ignoble Hierarch. They resolved their Brainstorm, and our Hierarch has also resolved. Ah, we're doing this, are we? You're one of those. I see. We have a Fatal Push. It's our only answer. So maybe we're supposed to Thoughtseize this turn. Okay, we have another answer now. So I'm okay to play this and attempt a Fatal Push. A Force of Will. We'll do this now where our opponent can't Stifle. Because if we try and do it on our opponent's turn, they might have a Stifle. They might be able to Stifle the Boseiju, and then we're just going to get clonked in the face for all the damages known to man. That's a Ponder. So at least we're not getting like null drifted this turn. That would be annoying. Did not shuffle the ponder. To me they have an end of turn spooky friend. Let us cast the Thoughtseize. I'm really glad that they didn't kill our Ignoble Hierarch earlier. Stifle Daze. It's certainly irritating. How are we supposed to deal with this? I guess we take the Stifle and just keep them away from having creatures for longer. I don't think we need to Wasteland here. I'm going to use that Wasteland to pay for their dazes. I probably didn't do anything there. Alright, cast your daze. I'll trade 1 for 1 here with a daze. Like to cast your other daze? You would like to cast your other daze. Alright, I'll trade 2 for 1 with a daze. And then maybe we can start doing some Pyrogoyf fun times. 2 cards in our opponent's hand. Wonder what they are. I think we still play around daze here. Get attacking. And then we can go and get the Surveil land if we want to. Or we could get a Badlands to make sure that we've got all of our colours. Alright, I didn't play the little guy end of turn or a dress down, so that's handy. I don't think I want to get taken off of a colour, so I'm not going to fetch now. You got Stifle? I did not have a Stifle. Okay. Let's Pyrogoyf. To the dome. 5 of your finest. Also means they don't have a Doorkeeper Thrall to flash in this turn. Or a dress down. I think you probably throw the dress down in there just to save yourself a bit of damage. Right, we got 10 power. What do you want? Nothing from our opponent. Intriguing. Okay, we'll go to attacks. Getting ploughed. Then I think we are playing... No, we want to do this around a daze, don't we? We have to put this on our basic, which is unfortunate. Tarmogoyf Nest. Here we go. A Llurgoyf Aura. We'll play another Hierarch. So we technically have 3 lethal creatures, but 2 of them have to attack on their own to be lethal. So we can just start churning out some more Tarmogoyfs here, and it won't take long before we can have more Tarmogoyfs than a Phyrexian Dreadnought can ever deal with. Alright, we got the win there. What do we want to do? Pyroblast seems reasonable here. Abrupt Decay seems very reasonable. Pernicious Deed seems reasonable. Steely Resolve, although white removal is also reasonable. I don't believe I want to be doing Blood Moon things. I don't like the Vexing Bauble that much here either. 4 more cuts. Things that kill things is important. This does not kill thing of note, really, does it? Maybe we'll trim a couple of those. Tarmogoyf Nest is slow, but it is pretty good. We don't need to cling to dust in this matchup. Thoughtseizes is certainly handy because our opponent is kind of a combo deck. I guess we'll trim 1 Pyrogoyf because they're a bit slow. Let's try this. My opponent should be able to play on basics as well if they want to. So I don't think this is a Blood Moon type affair. This is too many lands. I'm going to send these back. This is also too many lands. Alright, we'll go to 5. It's best hand so far. So keep our colours, keep a couple of Thoughtseizes and a Nethergoyf. We're getting rid of a Pyrogoyf and a Badlands, I suppose. We've certainly got a plan. Strip their hand of good stuff, land the boy, win with the boy. They can brainstorm to protect against this Thoughtseize. Oh, a Swamp is excellent. That means you can't get wasted here. I would like to do this now because this might stop our opponent from being able to Stifle Naught next turn. Doorkeeper Thrall, Force of Will, Friction Dreadnought. I don't really want this Dreadnought in play. This is our last chance to take the Doorkeeper Thrall, which enables multiple Dreadnoughts. I guess we take the Enabler. And then next turn we can take the Dreadnought. And also, like, stick our Nethergoyf. I'm surprised they didn't fetch a Meticulous Archive in our instep. But I did see some Wastelands from us last game. There's their Wasteland. Okay. Pernicious Deed. Which of these manas is the most important? The green. So I'm going to hang out this Badlands. And Thoughtseize my opponent. Yeah, that's an awkward one, isn't it? I guess we take the Pending here. We do have an answer for a Dreadnought. It's not pretty, but it does work. Let's see how good our 1 mana 1/2 is. I've got a basic now. Going to Wasteland us off of red. Playing the planes. We've got Dreadnought, Force of Will, potentially blue card. We'll see. I'd very much like to get our little friend down here. So now our Goyf attacks are 3 instead of just the 1 it was attacking before in the last turn. Because our opponent put one of our lands in the graveyard for us, which is very helpful. I understand why they did it though. It makes perfect sense. And then the Hierarch gives us a little bit of pump. Okay, so they had Force of Will blue card there on that turn. So we have the mana to play a Pernicious Deed here. Not around a days, unfortunately. It took a while with that brainstorm, so maybe there isn't a clean answer to what they want to be doing here. Alright, they're just going for a removal spell on our poor little defenseless Tarmogoyf, or Nethergoyf. Right, let's attack for 1. If they've got a Doorkeeper Thrall, then they don't kill each other anyway. We can go and fetch our Surveil land at end step if we want. Which I think is probably better than getting a red source when we already have the Hierarch. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. I wouldn't be surprised if it is still Force of Will, Infection, Dreadnought. Let's crack. Let's get the Mortuary. Have a little rummage. I don't want a Hierarch. It's pretty low impact, isn't it? We can do better than that. Also puts a creature in our graveyard for future Tarmogoyfs. Alright, Ignoble Hierarch, it's all up to you. It's 14 more turns. Play Bloodstained Mire. I don't want to play this Pernicious Deed out. I'd like rather our opponent spends resources on something, because what they'll do is they'll just like sculpt something else. Alright, we're just in Brazen Borrower beatdown, are we? Understood. We do not win this race, that's for sure. Need like a Barrowgoyf, that'd be nice. 2 cards in our opponent's hand still. Fatal Push. Okay, so we can push this Borrower. No Meticulous Archive at end step, interesting. Alright, let's go and get a Badlands here. Actually, no, we can get the Mountain and be just super safe on that one. And we do have to fail push this, I think. Alright, it's gone. It's out of here. Pyrogoyf time. Force of Will, pitching a Ponder. Yep. I wasn't surprised they still had the Force of Will. So we got some more Pyrogoyfs waiting in the wings. Just need to draw them. Or Barrowgoyf. Or Tarmogoyf. Or Necrogoyf. Or Tarmogoyf Nest. Alright, just the beatdown creature. Understood. So the last card in their hand was that, so they just shuffled away all their Dreadnought stuff and just played like blue-white control. Understood. Verdant Catacombs isn't really the one we wanted here, was it? Is it worth attacking for 1 here? I don't think it is. Pop the Deed. I guess we're supposed to crack this now. Okay, so our opponent draws a Stifle this turn. Oh, I guess they can Stifle us here. I didn't think of that, did I? Oh no. We're getting Stifled? No, we're not. Okay. That was definitely a punish available to us there. We fetched around the Stifle. We should have cracked around the Stifle as well. A Pyroblast. Okay, didn't need to do all those things. But as long as they don't have Doorkeeper Thrall, this can answer most of their other threats. I'm just playing it out. I don't know if I'm cracking it though, because our opponent can deal increments of 3 damage with the Borrower, so I'm not going to crack it. Okay, so draw one of those. Could be an entire turn that we throw away for a borderline, non-existent amount of thinning. So Hardcast Force of Will now available to our opponent if they have one of those, but we have a Pyroblast, so that'd be okay. Alright, we've got ourselves a little threat. I imagine our opponent's hand must have some removal in. I'm trying to think of what they wouldn't cast. It's either going to be like halves of their combo or removal. There's the removal. Barrowgoyf. There he is. He's large. And he's out of here. Alright. Did I board out the Tarmogoyf Nest? I did not. So we can still draw the Tarmogoyf Nest and just have a never-ending procession of Tarmogoyfs. We have 17 life now. That's quite a lot of life. We've got a creature. He's a 5/6. I want to know what the flavor text of this would say. Kind of looks like a frog. Angry frog. Alright. They didn't kill our creature end of turn. That might mean they've got a pending, but they probably would have used that on one of the other guys beforehand anyway. A Dreadnought. Okay. A Stifle. I would like to counter target blue spell. Alright. Goodbye, Dreadnought. Pyroblast is pretty good. 2-turn clock with our big boy. Send it in. Just take out their land while we're here. Just gives them less stuff if they're doing like cantrips trying to find answers or whatever. It just means they have to use a higher percentage of their overall mana to dig. Oh, we got the GGs there. Alright. Powerful Tarmogoyf action. So what happened in these games? Let's have a little review. So we lost 3 rounds 1-2. But 1-2 isn't bad. You know, that could have gone either way. But we got... It felt very hard against the blue-black, like, super good stuff decks. And the Necrodominance deck is just a deck that is, like, less than 0.1% of the meta. I wasn't expecting to see it. It's going to body us. We don't have anything for it. If you wanted something for it, you could try and run some turn 0 interaction, like Mindbreak Traps, but they don't always work. You could also run Force of Vigor. This is very good if you want that. It was in an earlier build of this deck that I was working on. So if we'd have had the Force of Vigors there, we might have been able to just win that one as well. So let's talk about the list. Now, obviously, this deck is not perfect. And the mana was a little bit sketchy at times. I wasn't a big fan of this Taiga. We didn't really make much use out of this Cling to Dust. And the baubles weren't that impressive. We did obviously come against the matchup where we did want the baubles, and they did help us win a game. But maybe we could just be Junding a bit more with like some removal, because at the moment the format is very much about trading creatures. You got your Eldrazi decks, you got your Frog decks, you got your Rescaminator decks, you got your Dreadnought decks. You know, like the decks that are actually succeeding at the moment tend to be relatively creature focused. So maybe instead of having this sort of stuff, we could just have more good old-fashioned removal. There is a lack of card advantage in our deck, and there's no like Dark Confident Tarmogoyf, which is a shame. And we didn't play against anyone playing a Rest in Peace, which is something I'm thankful for. But sadly, we also didn't get to do our Steely Resolve, which would have raised a few eyebrows, I'm sure. I think the mana base can be trimmed up a little bit. I don't like this Taiga. I think it'd be better as another Bayou. And we can trim these 3 slots around. I'm not sure what card advantage we would want here. Go full Jund and play some Bloodbraid Elves maybe. But I don't necessarily think that's where I want to be. The Witherbloom Command plus Wasteland package was good and actually won us games. In terms of how the Tarmogoyfs feel, Nethergoyf felt okay. We didn't really have the stuff to feed it as much as I would like. So maybe we're supposed to add in some Mishra's Baubles, which I did cut for the Vexing Baubles down the line when I was building this. But we can have some Mishra's Baubles to help fuel this. That might go a little way to making it a little bit better. Tarmogoyf was just great. It was just Tarmogoyf. I love this card. I think everyone says, oh, Tarmogoyf's bad in Legacy now. But every time I play it, it's like, this thing is big. Like, it's bigger than all the Eldrazi creatures. And it's one of the few things that might be big enough to attack into a frog sometimes. So I'm still a fan. Barrowgoyf, that can always attack into whatever it wants because of Death Touch Lifelink. We didn't really get to do very much with it, but it was just a lightning rod for removal. It had to be removed on the spot every time, and that basically is what happened. Pyrogoyf was actually pretty good. I was impressed by this one. I think I'm a big Flametongue Carvu fan from back in the day, and this is just that, but much bigger. And you get to dome the face, which is really cool. And you get Planeswalkers. This card just seems really, really cool. Do we need more mana to play a deck like this? Possibly. Like, the mana was fine. But I think we need more, like, card advantage or selection. So that we can... If we're getting flooded out, we have the card advantage to maybe double spell. And we have the card advantage to make sure that if we're getting screwed, we can draw into the lands. So I'm not really sure what the missing piece is. But there's definitely a missing piece somewhere. But I think for a first draft, the fact that we won 2 rounds, we lost an unwinnable matchup because of the way our deck's constructed. Like, we're just never beating turn 1 Necrodominance when they win the die roll. And we split our games against the blue-black decks. We went 1-2 both times against the blue-black deck. So it's not like we were just completely punked. There was definitely some source here that was worth sampling for sure. And I'll probably return to some more Tarmogoyf action. We probably need to be trimming the amounts of our Goyfs. We're a little bit heavy in them. Maybe we can like trim a copy here and there. We did get to win a game due to Tarmogoyf Nest, which is pretty cool. So I'll take that. And I think the Ignoble Hierarchs were kind of essential for helping us with our mana here. So I'm glad I put those in. I definitely had some builds where I didn't have those in early on. And I was like, I don't feel happy about that. Could try and squeeze in some Planeswalkers in this slot, because they will also give you a different type for your Goyfs to enjoy, as well as just being good cards, you know, like Liliana or Grist, something along those lines. We could work, because Grist can mill you more and give you more things, so it kind of like snowballs a little bit. You could go really heavy and run that 2 mana spell that like mills you 3 every turn. It's like an enchantment. It's an enchantment, so it will pump the Goyfs, and it mills you 3, and then you pay like 1 mana and 3 life to get a card from the milled ones back. I don't think it's great though. I've seen a few people messing around with it, but I'm not really convinced that's where I want to be. You could run like Sylvan Library. That's always it's another enchantment, and it's also just a great card. It just gives you that nice little burst of cards, as well as then just selection. And if we've got enough life coming off of the Barrowgoyf, then we'll be absolutely rolling in cards. So maybe these 3 cards should be like 2 Sylvan Libraries and another piece of removal, something like that. And we swap the Taiga out for another Bayou. We could run another like Mortuary instead of a Bayou. That might be okay. Just have 2 Surveil lands to get that extra selection where we can find it. But honestly, this deck felt fine to me. I think there's definitely ways that you could improve it. But for a first draft and a proof of concept to see if any of these Goyfs are good, the answer is Goyfs always good. Let's just ignore all the other Goyfs that didn't make it to this deck because they're not good. But these Goyfs are good, and I felt pretty happy about this. I don't think we can play a Cavern of Souls style Goyf deck. I don't think that's a thing that's available to us when we're trying to cast things like Witherbloom Command, Abrupt Decay, Molten Collapse. It just doesn't feel like where I want to be. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this one. I certainly did. It was it the ultimate Junding? I'll let you be the decider of that one, but I certainly had a good time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.